You're not paying attention. Not because you are distracted or careless or insufficiently mindful. Because the ordinary has become invisible. The specific quality of light this morning. The precise texture of the silence before the day begins. The small, unremarkable, utterly particular thing that is happening right now and that will not happen again in exactly this form. You are moving through it rather than inhabiting it. You are in the day without being inside the day. Sei Shōnagon, the 10th and 11th century Japanese court lady who served the Empress Teishi at the Heian court in Kyoto, kept a notebook. The pillow book, composed over approximately a decade around 994 to 1002 AD, is not a diary in the modern sense. It has no sustained narrative, no organizing argument, no philosophical system. It is a collection of lists, observations, brief essays, gossip, jokes, and moments, hundreds of them, assembled with a quality of attention so precise and so alive that reading it across 1,000 years still feels like being in a room. What kind of things are hateful? A guest who lingers when you have something to do. An infant who cries in the night. What are things that make one's heart beat faster? Sparrows feeding their young. To pass a place where babies are playing. What are things that seem far but are near? The relations between people. This is not minor literature. The Pillow Book is one of the foundational texts of Japanese prose and one of the most important documents of attention in world literature. And its philosophy, if philosophy is the right word for something that wears the clothes of gossip and list-making, is the philosophy that the quality of a life is determined primarily by the quality of one's noticing. There is a particular impoverishment of the unnoticed life that is difficult to name because it looks, from the outside, like ordinary functioning. The person who moves through their days efficiently, who completes what needs completing and manages what needs managing, who is productive and responsible and present in all the ways that the world measures presence. This person may nonetheless be missing something that no productivity metric captures. The specific, irreplaceable, entirely available richness of the moment they are in. The precise quality of what is here, right now, if the noticing were full enough to receive it. This is not the argument for slowing down, though slowing down sometimes helps. It is the argument for the quality of attention itself. The fast person who notices fully is living more richly than the slow person who notices poorly. Speed is not the problem. The problem is the thinness of the contact with the actual particularity of what is present. Sei Shōnagon was not a slow person. The Heian court was one of the most elaborate and most socially demanding environments in the history of human civilization. A world of extraordinary aesthetic refinement with a quality of one's calligraphy, the appropriateness of one's poetry, the precise correctness of one's robe colors for the season, and the wit of one's conversational response were all continuously assessed by people who had been trained since birth to assess them. She was busy. She was socially engaged. She was navigating the complex political and personal dynamics of a world where a word misspoken could end a career. And she noticed everything, not despite the fullness of her life. From within it, the noticing was not a retreat from the Heian world. It was her most complete form of engagement with it. Almost nothing is known about Sei Shōnagon's life outside the Pillow Book itself. Sei is a reading of a character in her family name. Shonagon is a court title. Her personal name is unknown. She was born around 966 E, entered the service of Empress Teishi around 993, and left the court around 1001 when the Empress died. What happened to her afterward is uncertain. Some sources suggest she became a nun, others that she died in poverty. The Pillow Book was the primary record of her existence. The book was apparently begun because the Empress gave her a sheaf of paper and asked what she would like to do with it. She wrote, "I wrote whatever came into my head." This is not false modesty. The Pillow Book has the specific quality of a mind writing as it thinks, not after it has organized its thoughts into a presentable form, but in the act of thinking, noticing, responding to what presents itself. The title is itself characteristic. A pillow book in the Heian era was a private notebook kept in the wooden pillow that was used at the time, a book for the private hours for the things not said in public. The intimacy of the Pillow Book is genuine. Sei Shōnagon is not performing for a public audience. She is recording what she actually sees and thinks and feels with a directness that is still somewhat startling 1,000 years later. She is opinionated, specific, funny, occasionally cruel, and incapable of the vagueness that most people substitute for genuine observation. The work she created became the founding text of Zuihitsu, the Japanese literary genre whose name means following the brush. The brush goes where the attention goes. The form follows the noticing rather than imposing a structure on it. It is the most honest form of attention available. Not the attention that is organized in advance toward a predetermined conclusion, but the attention that follows what presents itself and records what it finds. The philosophy, what the pillow book is doing when it makes its lists and what this practice produces. The lists, and there are hundreds of them, are the most immediately striking feature of the book and the most philosophically interesting. Things that make one's heart beat faster. Things that are near but seem far. Things without merit. Things that gain by being painted. Awkward things. Splendid things. Hateful things. The list is a form of noticing that forces discrimination. To list the things that make your heart beat faster, you must first notice that your heart has beaten faster, and then you must distinguish that experience from the general buzz of experience sufficiently to identify it as this category rather than that one. You must, in other words, pay attention, not in the general sense of being present, but in the specific sense of attending to the texture and quality of what is actually happening well enough to place it. This is harder than it sounds. Most of us move through experience in a state of general awareness that captures the broad strokes and misses the specific texture. The moment is registered but not inhabited. The thing is noticed but not examined. The list-making that Sei Shōnagon practices, the continuous, meticulous, apparently trivial cataloging of what makes experience what it is not an aesthete's game. It is the most demanding practice of attention available. It requires that you actually be in contact with the specific quality of what is present, not the category into which it can be sorted. And what the practice produces, over time, is a self that is genuinely present to its life. Not present in a mindfulness app sense, the general awareness of being here, right now, breathing. Present in the Sei Shōnagon sense, aware of the specific quality of this light, this silence, this exchange, this moment of the year, this particular configuration of what is here. The noticing makes the moment real in a way that the unnoticed moment is not. The moment that passes without being noticed has still passed, but the moment that is noticed has been inhabited. And the life built from inhabited moments is a different life from the life built from noticed and aggregate days. Now the bridge. Because Sei Shōnagon was a 10th century Japanese court lady writing in the specific aesthetic and social context of Heian, Japan, and most people watching this video are not. But the attention she practiced is available to anyone. The quality of noticing she brings to the specific texture of what is present requires nothing except the willingness to actually be in contact with the particular rather than the general, the moment rather than the day, the specific quality of this light rather than the fact of it being daytime. Her practice is not difficult in the sense of requiring expertise or training. It is difficult in the sense of requiring genuine attention, which is to say it requires the withdrawal of attention from a management, the planning, the retrospection, the screen, and the direction of it toward whatever is actually here. One sparrow feeding its young. One particular quality of light at 1 hour of one morning. One exchange of words whose specific texture, if attended to, is different from every other exchange of words you have had. These are available. They have been available this entire time. The practice of noticing them, the Sei Shōnagon practice, is the practice of actually receiving what is being offered by the moment you are in. Here is what Sei Shōnagon asks of you, practically, today. First, make one list. Not a task list, a noticing list. Things that made your heart beat faster this week. Things that are beautiful that you have been walking past. Things that are near but seem far. Things that are hateful in the precise, specific, Sei Shōnagon sense of the word. Not morally hateful, but the particular category of small awfulness that she catalogs with such relish. The list making is not the point. The attention required to make the list honestly is the point. You cannot list the things that make your heart beat faster without attending carefully enough to your experience to notice when your heart has beaten faster and why, and what the precise quality of that experience was. The list is the discipline that forces the attention. Second, notice one specific particular you've been missing. Not the general category, the specific instance. Not trees, the quality of this tree at this hour in this light. Not people, the specific expression on the face of the person you see every morning without quite seeing them. Not the season, the precise sensory texture of this day, of this season that will not occur again in exactly this form. Sei Shōnagon writes, in spring, the dawn, when the slowly paling mountain rim is tinged with red and wisps of purplish cloud trail over it. The specificity is the practice. The precision is the attention. The particular is the presence. Third, record what you notice. The pillow book is a record, not a memory, a record, made in a moment or shortly after, that preserves the specific quality of what was noticed before the general awareness absorbs it back into the undifferentiated stream of experience. The keeping of the notebook, even briefly, even a sentence or two, is the practice that makes the noticing stick. That gives the noticed moment a form in which it can be returned to, learned from, allowed to accumulate into a life that is genuinely inhabited rather than merely passed through. Keep a small notebook. Write one specific thing each day, not how you are feeling in general. What you noticed that was specific and particular and worth recording because its texture was genuinely its own. Fourth, let the noticing be enough. The pillow book does not argue for anything beyond the noticing. It does not say, notice these things so that you can be more productive, more present, more spiritually developed. It says, these things are worth noticing. The dawn in spring, the sparrows, the things that are near but seem far. They are worth the attention not because of what the attention produces, but because they're actually here, and the actual here attended to is the whole of what a life is. This is Sei Shōnagon's most radical and most quietly subversive claim, that the sufficient practice is the noticing itself, that the life that notices well has not missed the point of the life, that the quality of attention to the ordinary, maintained, practiced, made into a daily art, is not a supplement to living. It is the living. I want to close with the image that I find most alive in the entire pillow book. The young moon visible in the evening sky, a bamboo blind moving in the breeze. In the morning, a cat asleep in the sun, the sound of someone hammering in the night. She is not describing remarkable things. She is describing the texture of the ordinary, attended to with sufficient precision that it becomes remarkable in the attending. The moon that anyone could see, the blind that moves in any wind, the cat that sleeps in any morning sun. The sound that could be dismissed as noise. She does not dismiss any of it. She notices. She records the specific quality of what is present with the specific, disciplined, apparently effortless attention of a person who has made noticing the primary practice of her life. The result is not a life of more dramatic moments. It is a life of more fully inhabited moments. The same ordinary moments available to anyone, and received with a completeness of attention that makes them genuinely extraordinary. Not because the thing noticed is rare, because the quality of the noticing is real. This is available to you today, not in the Heian court. Here, in the specific, unremarkable, entirely particular moment you are in right now. The quality of the light, the sound from outside, the precise texture of this moment of this day, that is, if you attend to it fully enough, unlike any other moment there has ever been. Notice it. Write it down. Let it be enough. Here is the question Sei Shōnagon leaves us with today. What is one specific, particular thing, not a category, the thing itself, that you have been moving past rather than inhabiting this week? And what would it look like to make a list? Not of your tasks or your goals or your progress toward your better self. A list of what you have noticed. What made your heart beat faster? What was near but seemed far? What was beautiful and went unrecorded? Leave that in the comments. Because making the list, even briefly, even imperfectly, is the beginning of the Sei Shōnagon practice. The art of noticing. The philosophy of presence. The life that is genuinely inhabited one noticed moment at a time. I'll see you in the next one.